All right, so I'll scroll down for you in a second so you can see stuff on the bottom. The first thing you wrote down was multiple alleles. Put a circle or star or something right here, because this is how blood typing is different than everything we've talked about so far. So far, how many alleles were possible, like in just a dominant or recessive situation? 2. You could either get the capital B or the lowercase b. How many letters are possible in a codominant situation? 1. How many alleles? Alleles are just the letters. 2. You could either, for that last example, you could either get the big R or the big W, right? There's 2 alleles. And those alleles can make different combinations. You know, you can be homozygous dominant, you can be homozygous recessive, or you can be heterozygous, right? In this case, we have multiple alleles, so more than 2 alleles. We have alleles that are called the A allele, the B allele, and the O allele. So we have 3 alleles versus just a normal 2. That's why this is a special case. But we don't write the alleles like this because sometimes this is not as descriptive as we need it to be. So instead of writing A, we always write it as I, capital A. And the I is just something you'll see in your book too, so I want to get you familiar with it going ahead from the beginning. The B allele is IB, and the O allele is recessive. So what do you think it should be kind of looking like? A little lowercase something, right? It's a lowercase I. Okay, so the O is the lowercase I. So who knows a type of blood, a blood type of somebody you know? Anybody?
O positive.
Yeah, so maybe somebody knows O positive. I'm O negative. Anybody else? Mom, dad, sister, brother, dog? Yeah.
I know mine.
What's yours?
O positive.
O positive? Yeah. A positive? Anybody else? I heard AB positive. So we're going to talk about the positives and the negatives in a little bit, but right now we're going to focus on the A's, the B's, and the O's. Okay, so we're going to talk about how these are going to be combined together to make blood types. And everybody's going to have a specific blood type, and it's really, really important to know your blood type, because if you ever need blood, you have to know what kind of blood you need. If not, it could be more deadly than not having enough blood, because your body starts to attack foreign objects that are coming into your body, like other people's blood. Okay, so second thing we need to know is that there's some codominant stuff happening in blood type 2. Put a star, circle that. So blood type has 2 differences. It's got multiple alleles, and it's got codominance happening. Codominant just means that if the A allele and the B allele are there, you can see them both distinguishing from each other. O is always going to be recessive. So the phenotypes are A, B, AB, or O. Those are what you would see as your blood type. But the way you would write the genotypes are different. How would the A... What alleles can come together to make a blood type? I what? IA and another one? Yeah? IA and IA can come together to make A blood. What else can come together to make A blood? I can't make IA and IB because that would be codominant. That would be both A and B blood. I, right, little I. So that's going to be the recessive one. So those are the 2 possible genotypes for this blood type. Write these down with me. Okay? Make sure you know these. For type B, going with the same kind of trend here. What are the alleles for B blood? IB and little I and what? IB. Right. I can't put an IA there because if I put an IA there, A has to be expressed. And so you would see that as a phenotype. You would see the A part. All right. AB only has 1 possibility. What is it? IA and IB, right, because in order to show both the A and the B phenotypes, I have to have 1 of each of those alleles. And then O only has 1 possibility. Huh? Little I, right. If I put an A or B there, it's going to be shown, so you can't put any A's or B's in those alleles. All right, so you got your genotypes, good? So let's do this problem. I'm going to leave that up there like that. Okay, so let's talk about this one. I think we can just talk through this one. You guys can do another example with me 1 second. Cross a man with blood type AB with a female with type O. Give the expected ratios of the children's blood types. All right, so we want to draw a Punnett square, right?
Yeah.
Let's put the male on top right here. So what's his phenotype, or what are his alleles? So IA and IB, and then what's the ladies? Little I. Good. Okay, so then when we cross them, fill it in. Go ahead and shout it out.
IAI.
IAI.
IB.
I. Okay. How many of the babies have the possibility of having O blood type? Right. So O blood type would be 0%. How many would have AB blood type?
2.
AB means you have to have both alleles.
No.
0% would have AB blood type. How many would have A blood type?
2.
Percentage. Yes, 50% of having a blood type A baby, blood type B, 50%. So what you're seeing is in your head you can automatically identify if it's got the A, it has to be type A, especially if it has the recessive allele with it. And that one's type A. And then these two over here are type B and type B. So if these two people got together, they could already assume that, 50% of their babies have a 50% chance of having A blood and 50% chance of having B blood. Thumbs up, you good? All right, so this is just a different version of some of the stuff we've already been doing. So let's do another example. I want you guys to write this one down or just at least think through the logical part of it. Oh, first of all, I have to give you a funny every now and then. What's your blood type? Red. Because they don't know their blood type, they just say it's red. And then since we're talking about the blood, vampire up there. I told you guys about my anatomy physiology professor in college, right?
No.
Okay, he was French. He was cute. Sat in the front row for that reason. I see him at Starbucks every now and then. I just wave. He probably doesn't remember me. It's in a class of like 200 people. But he was French, so every time he said blood, he'd go, "We're going to talk about the blood today." And so he would say blood, and I thought he was joking at first, but then he literally says blood like that. So then I say blood like that because I thought it was cool. So anyway, that's what we're talking about the blood. Okay, so me, I have type O blood. Mr. Inlow has type A blood. I'm not actually sure that's right, but I should know. And we're gonna have an imaginary child, Pebbles. Pebbles is my childhood dog's name, so that's what we're going with Pebbles. Yeah, okay. My mom had this thing with rocks, so she named our dogs Granite, Pebbles. Jasper is a type of gem, and then now we have another dog named Bear. Doesn't really fit the trend there, but she's great. Okay, so Pebbles has type A blood. Is Pebbles heterozygous or homozygous? So we're gonna have to think about this in a second. Can you determine the definite genotype of all three of these people? So let's start from the top. Can we determine the definite genotype of moi?
Yes.
Yes. What is it? I got that. What's the genotype? Little I, little I. Okay, can we determine the definite genotype of Dad? No, we can't. But what are the possibilities? IA. I heard IA, sorry, okay. Or IA little I, right. So it's either the two big A's or it's just your A little I. Okay, imaginary child Pebbles has type A. So what are her possibilities?
I
hear you. IA. IA or
IA little I.
Okay. So, based on mom and dad, what does mom only have to give?
I
have O blood, but what allele do I have? Little I. So if I know I have little I, there's only one option for Pebbles. What does she have to get from me? Little I, right? That's all I have to give. Well, then which of these has to be Pebbles' genotype? Right. This one has to be genotype of Pebbles. This one has to be the genotype of me. So, do we know which one Dad has?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you say yes. What would you say, Isaiah? Well, why couldn't it be this one?
Because you have a little I.
But Dad doesn't say, "Oh no, I'm just gonna give you that one."
O, right?
Huh?
She has O and you have little I.
She could, but that's the thing. Dad can either give the big IA or big I, A, or he give the little I. So if he can give this one or this one, there's a possibility she's fine. She could get this one from Dad and this one from Mom. So that's why it's still up in the air. We don't know for sure which one Dad could have. So that's why we say we don't know for sure which of these is true, but we can put both possibilities. Just like if you know you have widow's peak and it's a dominant trait, you can say, "Oh yeah, I'm homozygous dominant," but I'm going to say you're lying because you have no idea if you're homozygous dominant or heterozygous. Like you don't know if you're big W or big W little w. That's why we have to put possibilities there because it's not always easy just to say yeah for sure. Okay, cool. So we identified the possible genotypes of dad, and we knew the different ones for mom and Pebbles. Yay. Okay, let's do this one. Brittany has type AB. Her mother is type AB. What are the genotype options of her father? So let's write down what they have, the mom and the daughter have first. Type AB.
Capital IA.
So IA,
Capital IB.
IB. This one?
Capital IA.
Okay. So Brittany gets this from mom and dad. Mom can get A or B. What are the genotype options of the father?
AB.
Okay, so it could be AB because, you know, she could get the A from mom and the B from dad. That's cool. It could be AA,
MBB.
AA, or it could be, right, BB. Because you're saying that, you know, as long as mom has both, she could get either one of these alleles, and dad could have any of those. Okay, anything else dad could have?
No.
Possibles? Yeah, there's a couple more.
Lowercase I, lowercase
AI, little I, right? So as long as mom still has a B to give, dad can give that one. He doesn't have to give the little I. It's just a possibility, right? What else could he have?
Big B.
Big B, little I. So what's the only one we did not mention?
Little I.
Little I, little I. So everything is possible except for little I, because if dad had little I, what's the only allele he can give?
Little I.
Little I. And if he gives little I, her blood type's not going to be AB, right? So that's the only one that can't be. All right, so you see, you can actually think about some of these without drawing Punnett squares for all of them. Okay? All right, so blood type, we're good. Let's do, this is really important to understand what the red blood cells, those RBCs means red blood cells. So we've been talking about what AB and, you know, all that junk means, but what do they look like? Take about 5-10 minutes to draw these out, label the surface antigens, and I have a video for you to show you on just how they look in the body and what reacts to different blood units. Page 325 in your book. Take 5 to 10 minutes. And if you would like something to color with, you guys can pull out something for yourself. I'll walk around with colored pencils. Take a short while here. Yes, ma'am.
Word.
This is an emergency.
You said 329.
325. All right, so video, here we go. Blood transfusions. And so this is going to show up exactly as how you guys have drawn it. So this should be very familiar to you.
Hypersensitivities involve interactions of antibodies and surface antigens of cells, followed by complement-assisted lysis of these cells. A typical example is mismatched blood transfusions.
Okay, so here we have the type A blood, and that type A blood means you have an antigen, which is just like a surface like flag, just a flag really. It says, hey, I'm A blood, okay? This one says, hey, I'm B blood. This one says, hi, I'm AB blood, because I have both flags. And then O blood has nothing on it, because it doesn't need to have anything on, because recessive means you inherit no flags on your red blood cells. So this is what my blood looks like. If you have A blood, then your blood looks something like that.
There are 4 different blood groups based on types of antigens on the surfaces of the red blood cells. People who are type A have A antigens, and those who are type B have B antigens on the surfaces of their red blood cells. Persons who are type AB have both A and B antigens, and those who are type O have neither A nor B antigens. The serum of people with type A.
Okay, so when it says serum, you know your blood's liquidy, right? There's some other clear substance in your blood called plasma, and that plasma contains antibodies. Antibodies attack anything foreign. So it might be bugs, it might be pollen, it might be somebody else's germs, it might be somebody else's blood. So what it's going to talk about is how A blood will have in their serum in the plasma clear part of the blood some stuff called antibodies against B. So those are going to attack what blood cells? B blood cells. Because if you have A blood, there should be no B at all inside of you. Okay, there should be no B blood at all inside of you. So your body does a good job protecting against other people's blood by having those antibodies in there to attack. So that's what it's going to talk about here.
Blood contains antibodies against type B antigens, and the serum of people with type B blood contains antibodies against type A antigens. Type AB serum contains neither antibody, and O serum contains antibodies against both A and B antigens.
So people with O blood, they can't have any A's or any B's in their body. So they'll have antibodies against those to attack it whenever that comes into contact, and that's protecting them.
If blood from a person who is type B is transfused into a person who is type A, antibodies present in the type A blood react with the surface antigens on the incoming red blood cells. This leads to complement fixation and lysis of these cells.
Lysis means that it's going to burst, so it's going to kill these blood cells because they don't belong there, so it's going to burst them.
If blood from a person who is type A is transfused into a person who is type B, antibodies present in the type B blood react with the surface antigens on the incoming red blood cells. This also leads to complement fixation and cell lysis.
It's going to burst those because those don't belong in the body.
Persons who are type O lack A and B antigens on the surfaces of their red blood cells and are therefore universal donors.
Okay, so note to self, O blood, sneaky ninjas. Okay, they go into the body, and since they have no flags going, hey, I'm O blood, the person who's getting the O blood doesn't even know they're getting the O blood because their antibodies don't have anything to attach to. You see how that yellow should be attaching to something yellow over here? If it's not there, they're sneaky ninjas. They go in there, they give that person can get that blood, no problem, won't refuse it, won't have any problems with rejection of the blood. And so that's why O blood is a universal donor, because anybody can take O blood because there's nothing on it to cause an alarm. See how that works?
Persons with type AB blood lack antibodies against A or B antigens and are therefore universal recipients.
So the person with AB blood, they already have the A's and the B's. So do they have any antibodies floating around? No. So they have no antibodies to attack somebody else's blood, so that's fine. They can take B blood, no problem. They can take A blood, no problem. They can take sneaky ninja O blood, no problem. So who is the universal recipient? AB, who's a universal donor? O. Those are two facts you need to write down. Oops. Write down right here, and then we'll move on to sex link. Yeah. It does, and I'll explain that actually right now. Thank you for reminding me. So universal donor is type O. Universal recipient is type AB. And then we were just asked about the plus and minus thing, so positive and negative that we're talking about. There's something else in your red blood cell. So like if I was O blood, there's my O right there. O has nothing on the outside of this, of the like ABO kind of system that we have set up. But if I say I'm O positive, it means I'm positive for something. That means I do have something little on it. So I might have like a little, like this right here, might represent something else that's on the blood cell that we call positive. It's actually called an RH factor. This is just something extra I was going to tell you guys today. RH comes from rhesus monkeys, so they're just another type of monkey. And they discovered that, so I'm a universal donor. I'm O negative. But if somebody who else is O gives me blood, we should have no problem, right? Theoretically. But if they're O positive and I get their O positive blood, my body reacts like, oh my gosh, there's something foreign in here. And that's because there's this little bitty thing that I'm going to call these little hair-like things positives. And those positives are something else that are in the red blood cell. So my body sees those and goes, okay, Emma's blood doesn't have those things. So this must be foreign. So it's another tag that identifies it as somebody else's blood. So for me, I have O negative, so there's nothing on my blood type. So that's like the most awesome sneaky ninja ever. It goes into somebody else's blood. No bodies can detect it. But if you have the O positive, you can still detect that little tiny thing. Yes, Julissa, and then Dustin. Yeah, Julissa. Yeah. But so for me, I'm O negative, so I can only get O negative. I can't take O positive because my body will react to that little bitty tag that's there. Question?
For AB, like you said, they can receive any blood.
Hmm?
Who can they give out? Just AB?
Only ABs. Yeah. So they're pretty stingy with their blood. They can't give it out to everybody. But O negative people, the Red Cross will call you like it's somebody's business because they want your blood. Your blood. Okay, give me a quick 30-second stretch break. I see some sleepy eyes. Then we'll move on to not babies. We'll move on to sex linked. Oh look, sorry, I have another joke for you. Not sure what I just did there. Delete this. Stretch break. Get up. Jump jacks. Something. I'm B positive. See how happy he is when he's B negative. You guys. No, you laugh. Oops. Stand up if you need to. Because what I might have to do is give you detentions if you be putting your head down, and I don't want to do that for you. Okay? I don't want to do that to you. You should get some sleep at night. Okay, we're going to be moving to sex length in a minute here. That's my goal today, but we have to get through this, and some people are not wanting that thought. Okay, sex link problem, and then we'll move on. Okay. So, looking at, did I answer your question? Okay, go really fast. Okay, go really fast. Okay, so talking about sex length. Sex length means X length. Where would you find an X chromosome? In males or females, right? Both. Everybody in this room has an X chromosome. Okay. How many X chromosomes do ladies have? Two. How many X chromosomes does a guy have? One, because they're X, Y, right? Okay. So if I tell you that something is inherited on the X chromosome, and I have two X chromosomes, well, I've got two that could be giving me dominant traits or recessive traits. You know, it kind of just depends. But for a guy, they only have one X chromosome. What they get is what they get. They have no choice. Whatever they get on that chromosome, you absolutely have to show. Has to be expressed. Okay? So if you get a disease on that X chromosome, tough. You have to show it. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a recessive disease. I have to have two of the same, recessive alleles to express it. So girls, we're good. We can, we have to inherit two recessive disease alleles to show something that's like a recessive disease. Guys, if you get it, you have no choice, because whatever's on your X chromosome, you absolutely have to express. Does that make sense? Okay, let's talk about some of those diseases and actually do some problems with it. All right, so in this example, I'm just going to walk through an example first, and then we'll hit some of the notes you have to write down. But this lady right here is called a carrier female. She's carrying a disease. A carrier does not mean you express the disease. You're carrying the trait for it, and you can pass it on to your offspring. So you can see that we have the normal alleles and then this like random little hash thing, this thing, which means that you're a carrier for that disease, whatever the disease is. We'll go with this, eggs, and then this little, actually that's not the carrier, this is the black thing right here is the carrier. This is the sperm, that's why it looks different, because it's got the Y allele, not the X allele. So you can see how we can actually identify sperm versus eggs, and then we can identify, is this going to be a guy or a girl? If it gets the Y chromosome right there. This will be the guy, this will be a guy, and then these two over here will be girls. And so we can actually start to identify different, like, what's the percentage chance of a girl having disease versus a guy having disease. So it goes in a little bit more detail. So we're talking about daughters and sons a lot in these types of questions. So same thing here, but you'll notice how these are labeled. It's X big A, or X little a, Y. So these are actually symbolizing these sex chromosomes as X's and Y's. In previous problems, we've never done that before. So that's how these are a little different. And then actually sometimes you'll see like sperm and then eggs to show how the, sex, the one is, coming from the father and one's coming from the mother. So we're going to try to draw some rubber point squares like these today. Okay, here's the big information. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to write that down, and then we'll do some examples. So just like in the previous examples, you have a lot of information first, and then we're going to try to use that. I'm going to fill in the genotypes. So earlier you guys wrote down the phenotypes, and then we're going to write down the genotypes next to them in a second. And this star is what I told you earlier. This is like one of the most important things to know about sex-linked disorders, because it really helps you to understand why guys have so high of a chance of getting the disorder, while ladies have such a small chance. So I'm going to add a little bit to the top, and I'll scroll down for you guys. So the way I remember what a sex-linked trait is, or a sex-linked disorder is because when I write the word sex linked, I can see that it's X-linked. So it's a disease or a allele that's inherited, or a gene that's inherited on the X chromosome. And I know the X chromosome controls what our gender is, right? And so do you. So that's how I remember it. And so sometimes these are called sex-linked traits, but sometimes they're called X-linked traits because they're on the X chromosome. And so that's why I like to make sure you guys know that before we even get started. So everything we've talked about before, none of them were on the X chromosomes or the Y chromosomes. What were all those chromosomes called that were not the sex-determining ones? It started with an A. It meant self. Autosomes. Autosomes is what they're called. They're like chromosomes that for determining like self-body stuff. So everything we've talked about previous to this are called autosomes, and they're inherited on chromosomes numbers 1 through 22. Okay, so like not hemophilia, Huntington's disease, TKU, Tay-Sachs, sickle cell anemia, all that stuff is inherited on chromosomes 1 through 22. This is the first time we're talking about chromosomes set number 23, which is your XX or your XY. So, I told you earlier, guys have one chromosome, girls have 2 of those X chromosomes. So, guys have to express whatever's on it. It doesn't matter if it's bad or good, they have to express it. Color blindness is why you find, or is one of the diseases you'll find that really common in guys and not girls. Hemophilia is something else we're going to talk about. So, if you have a normal male, automatically you should know its genotype. What's his genotype? If he's a male, XY, okay? So you're going to write XY, but if he's normal, he has a normal allele attached to the X chromosome. So the normal allele attached to the X chromosome is a capital A. I'm just going to go with A's here. So dominant hides the recessive allele. So recessive is whenever you get a disorder or a disease. Dominant means you're normal. So tell me how this would be different if the guy has a disorder. He's still going to be a guy, right? Like, doesn't change his sex. He's still a guy, so XY. But instead of having a dominant allele, he's going to have a recessive allele. So I'm going to write little a. All right, so you're writing these genotypes down with me because I want you to make sure you have this example down because these are a little harder. All right, so if I'm a female, what's automatically my sex chromosomes? XX. Okay, if I'm a normal female, that means I have 100% dominant alleles. So capital A, good. All right, so if I'm a carrier female, what's still my sex? Still XX, but what are I'm a carrier, so I'm just carrying the trait. I don't have the disease, I carry just one of them, so this is when I'm heterozygous, okay? So I'll be capital A, lowercase a. I'm going to wait and make sure everybody's writing these down because I want to make sure that we're clear on how to write these alleles because they're a little different than the ones we've previously dealt with. So normal guy, big A. Normal guy, male with disorder, little a. Normal female, 100% dominant. Carrier female, heterozygous, we have a capital A and a lowercase a. So for the female to get the disorder, what does she have to inherit? She's still a female, so she still gets XX. 2 lowercase a's. So are you more likely to get 1 lowercase a or more likely to get 2 lowercase a's? Probably inheriting 1 is easier than inheriting 2. That's why guys express that gene or whatever the disorder is more so than females do, because this is, you know, it's harder to end up with two of the same alleles than just one of them. Okay, so let's do this example using our alleles. Cross A, and I'm going to use, since we're doing color blindness, let's just keep with the A's right now, that's fine. Cross a female carrier for color blindness with a normal male. What are the chances of having a colorblind child? All right, so if I'm a female carrier for color blindness, what is my genotype? X, what kind of A? If I'm a carrier, am I homozygous or heterozygous? Huh? Homozygous or heterozygous? Hetero. Okay, so I'm going to put big A and then X, little a. Okay, so if I'm a normal male, what's my genotype? Capital A is dominant, right? Y, because he's a guy, right? He's an XY. Okay, so now drawing your Punnett square, drawing this with me. You need an example down. I don't do these for fun. I know this stuff. You guys got to work on it, okay? So I want you guys to draw all these examples with me. All right, so thank you. X capital A and X little a, because she's a carrier.
X capital A and then
Okay, and shout them out as you go. Fill in the boxes with me. Go for it.
X A.
X A, X A.
X little a.
I'm going to go with the big A first, just because I like to write it that way.
And then a little a.
Right? So far, have we made daughters or sons?
Daughters.
We made daughters because they have X's and X's. Good. All right, now is when the sons are going to be made.
X A.
X big A, Y.
And then X A.
X little a,
Y.
Y. Okay. Looking at the whole shebang, let's go ahead and label the phenotypes in the boxes, and then we'll talk about the question. This is a female. Is she normal or does she have the disease?
She's normal.
Normal, because we have two capitals, so I'm going to put N for normal. This is a female. Does she?
Carrier.
She's a carrier. She doesn't actually show the disease, because to show the disease, she has to have little a, little a. She has a big A and a little a. So she's just a carrier. So when she has children, she could pass that X allele on to her babies. Okay? So this is a son, and he has...
Carrier. No, he doesn't have it.
He doesn't have anything, right? So he's normal? Normal guy? Normal everyday Joe? Okay. Here's a son, and... No, guys, this is a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. Guys cannot be carriers. Remember, if they have it, they don't just carry it, they show it. They have that disease. So is he colorblind, yes or no? Yes. So I'm going to put CB for colorblind. Okay? Sad day for him. All right, so what are the chances, what percentage of their children will have color blindness?
1%.
25%, because only 1 out of 4 show it. What percentages of their sons will have color blindness? 50, right. So of their sons, there's only 2 possibilities for sons, right?
Yeah.
So 1 over 2. So 1 can be colorblind over the 2 possible. So if I specified the question to be sons, the answer would be 50%, not 25. What if I said, what percentage of their daughters will have color blindness? 0. What percentage of their daughters will be a carrier?
100.
Oh, of their daughters. Right. 1 out of the 2 daughters will be carriers, so that's 50%. So these questions, you got to read it really well to identify what you're looking for. All right, let's do some more. All right, a normal mother and a colorblind father have a child. What are the chances of them having a colorblind son? You guys start this one. Write down the genotype. Okay, and draw your Punnett square.
You have
Write it down on your paper. Yeah, write it on your paper. Just like we did earlier, you're going to identify their genotypes before you even know your Punnett square. For mom and dad today. But it doesn't have an A with it because these are X. I prefer big A first. We're gonna go over actually. I'm gonna start. All right, what was the mom's genotype? Capital A's or lowercase A's? Capital, so homozygous, yeah? What was dad's? Little a, Y. Thank you. Dad has a Y. He is a guy, okay? So as you go through, you're labeling, or you're filling in X big A, X little a, X big A, X little a, X big A, because it's little a right here, X A, Y, X big A, Y. So of the daughters, what do you notice? Let's go ahead and like label within them. What do you notice about those daughters? Carrier and carrier. Okay, what do you notice about him? Right, normal and normal. So of all the babies, what are the chances of them having a colorblind son? 0%, because neither son has a lowercase a. What are the chances of them having a colorblind daughter?
That's 50%.
Colorblind daughter, 0, because for the daughter, she has to have 2 little a's. What's the possibilities of them having a carrier daughter? 100%. Because of the daughters, both of them have a carrier or are carriers, so that would be 100% are carriers. And so they would have the possibility of passing that allele on to their sons or daughters. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Oh, I gotta talk about colorblindness first. We've been saying it, go ahead and talk about it. So let's talk about colorblindness, and then we'll talk about hemophilia, and then we're good, and I'll let you guys get up and move around. Okay? Go ahead and write down colorblindness, and then write the fact that it is X-linked. X-linked is important. I know today's a little bit notey, guys, so you can do it there. It's a little bit notey. Okay, and then you can tell, you probably know what colorblindness is, and that's the fact that they can't see specific colors. It is specific colors, though, because some people can see, like, reds and blues, but they can't see yellows. Or they can see yellows and blues, but they can't see red. So it's specific, there's different types of these, but I'm just going to go with universal colorblindness, which means you can't see specific colors. Commonly, these are the colors you can't see. Yes, sir?
If it's like a shade of a color, they can't see it. Can they still not see it?
They can see, like, so instead of seeing a red on your shirt, they might see like an orangey color. So it's like whatever color they see, it's not like it's invisible. They see just something different than what I see.
Okay.
And I have a simulation that's really cool to show you guys what it looks like. Okay, so what happens is there's a problem with the color sensing pigments. I'm just going to put problem with color sensing pigments. That's it. And that's inherited from the X chromosome. And this is going to be common in males. Okay, that's common in males, and it's on the X chromosome. Who was responsible for giving them that?
The male.
Mom, thank you. Because males get X's from their moms and what from their dad? Y's from their dad. So this is all mom's fault. But she may have not known. She may not have known she was a carrier. So she passed it on to the son accidentally. She just says, yeah, honey, that apple is red every day they pass it in the grocery store. That's, it's an issue. But some people, it's not like, they can still drive, they can still see things, just they see things in different shades of colors. And so as you guys are finishing that, I'm going to pull up the simulation, and then somebody on that side of the room shut the lights for me, because this is pretty cool. Okay. So here's a simulation of this. Ready? All right, let's look at something different. Oh, we'll stick with this. So if somebody is red-green deficient, let's say they have none of these things. instead of being this orangey red color, what they see is, wait for it. It's really, it sometimes takes a while to load. That's what they see. Instead of seeing red, they see a puke green color. So they might see, you know, apples as all green, but they don't know what's the Granny Smith apple versus the Red Delicious apple versus a Gala versus a Fuji, whatever you're looking for. Okay, so that's normal vision. So there's normal. All your red, blues, and greens are working. If they have no blue, yellow, here's what they see. Wait for it. I know, sorry, these take, it's because they have to alter the coloration of the pixels, so it takes a minute. So that's what it looks like. Wait for it. That's what it looks like if they don't have any blues or yellow cones. And that's kind of cool, actually, right? To see like magenta everywhere. Okay, let's look at this one. All right, here's a flower. If they are monochromic, which means they don't have any color vision at all, that's what they see. All day, every day, black and white, gray. That's boring, right? What if they can't see? It's rare, but that's a total color blindness one. Here's if they're missing their red and green colors. So it changes it to like a blue color for everything. Okay, what if they're missing their blues and yellows? I can't X that for some reason. So what color is this one going to be, guys?
Pink.
Purple, pink, yeah.
Pretty though.
So you can see it's different, but I mean, I can go through all of these. I'm not going to, but you can see everything looks different. Let's see this one. Let's see this one with the blue-yellow deficiency.
Pink sky.
I hope it's magenta. Whoa! Like if you saw that as your sunset, but that's, yeah. So that's what's happening with color blindness. They can see different shades of colors. Okay, last disease. Yeah, Chandler?
I'm colorblind and sees that kind of deficiency, and we always mess with them in gym class with kids' gym shorts that are different colors, and I like telling them the wrong color.
You know, and in AP chemistry we had to look at colors specifically, and I had 2 kids in there that were colorblind, and they were like, we don't know what this means, and so they had to have a helper. Like, dude, this is red, this is purple, this is blue. So it's just something that they just lifestyle differences, just get over it. Okay, so hemophilia, this is the cool one because this was called the royal disease for a while back in Europe because only the people of the royal lineage got it. Well, why would only people of the royal lineage get it?
They made it.
They had incest, yeah, they would say, oh, I have to marry somebody who's royal, and they would have a baby with their like first cousin, and then make that gene would stay populated within their own population, okay? Because it's recessive, they have to inherit. Give me an example of what a daughter's genotype would have to be. Daughter. X. Lower A, NX. No. For the females to get it, it has to be both of the same. For a guy to get it, they would have to have little a and then Y. So that's what that would look like. Guys in the back, listen. Okay, question.
So it's the same as colorblindness. So when we're doing prompts, we just have to see if they're talking about the disease.
Yeah. And so I just use A's. You can put, you know, little H's or big H's. You can do C's and C's for colorblindness. I don't care. I just want you to know recessive and dominant. Okay, so pattern inheritance. It's recessive. So females can be carriers. This is important. Females can be carriers. And then we can talk about the percentage part. You don't have to write that down. So if a mom is a carrier, she has a 50% chance of giving her diseased X chromosome to her son. She can give it to her daughter, no problem at all. The daughter might be a carrier. But what if dad also gives the daughter a diseased X?
She will most likely have it.
She will definitely have it, right? Because she would be getting 2 bad X's from mom and dad. All right, so what happens? So you know, like you fall down, you scrape your knee, it bleeds, you get a scab. Yeah, scabs happen. You wait for the scab to fall off. It's healed. What happens with these people is they skin their knee and then they bleed. They're called free bleeders. They don't stop bleeding. So they can bleed out. They bump themselves into like the table, and you know they maybe accidentally bruise their like hip or something. It could be bleeding on the inside of their body. and they would never know, and they would bleed out on the inside of their body. It's called internal bleeding. Okay, so this is a big problem because what happens is if somebody's a hemophiliac and they have hemophilia and they, scrape their knee, they immediately have to take some sort of medicine to put these things called platelets in their body. It's from vitamin K, so they have to take a medicine, or they have to go to the emergency room and say, I need somebody to stop this bleeding right now, because their bodies don't naturally do it. Our bodies naturally do it because in our blood we have these little fibers that make this like net, and they make a what's it called? A scab on it on the inside of the body, and then it grows outward. But if you don't have the ability to form scabs, then you could die from a scrape. Okay, one second. So that's what I want you to know. Excessive bleeding is a symptom of this, and then it's called they're called free bleeders. That's another name for hemophiliacs, but it's very rare if they have a problem with clotting properly or making scabs properly. And that's inherited from who gives it to the baby? Mom, because mom is giving that X chromosome to the son, but dad could also be giving it to the daughter. Yes, sir. They have really thin, it's not like, some people just generally have thin blood because they have just different amounts of plasma in their bodies, but they have really thin blood because they don't have the ability to have those proteins that help them clot. Yes?
Oh, I don't have any.
Okay. Questions on hemophilia? You have to know it's an X-linked disorder. All right, for the last about 30 minutes, you guys are going to be working on 3 things. I'll go back here first. You're still writing that down. Pull out your homework. Make a star on 19 through 22. I'm sorry, 15 through 22.
15 to what?
15 through 22. That is homework. After you finish your homework, you can finish your baby. If you finish that, then you'll move on to the fruit fly problems, which I have on my desk. Okay? So I want to go ahead and knock this out of the park with getting our homework done in class. So we have no questions tonight. After you finish your homework, you guys can go finish your baby. So you have the potential to get 15 to 22 done. Yeah.
No 21 seems to be
8. Yeah. Yeah. I'll come around and answer questions, but you guys have your stuff in front of you. I'm probably going to make sure you get your homework done before you leave, because you have 25 minutes. If you don't get that done, I'll just write you up and you go to the office. Okay? Get this done. Because if you're being a disruption or not doing your work, you go to the office. I'll turn mine on. Some people get distracted with that, so I'm going to say no for now. To me,